Again, thank you all for joining us. We're looking forward to spending the next 30, 45 minutes talking about the Health Informatics and Analytics Capstone options, the Capstone course and the internship. Hopefully answer some of your questions about how that process works, proposals, how do you secure one, why you choose one culminating experience over another. And I'm very excited to have Dr. Yoran Ge, Program Director for the Health Informatics and Analytics program with us, and Robert Fox, who is a senior lecturer with the School of Data Science and oversees the internship course. We'll be reviewing many of your proposals, so he's going to give you some insider tips on do's and don'ts and things along those lines. What I'll ask you to do is, as we're going through, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. If you would, make sure to mute your mics so that we don't get the barking dog in the background. I'm sure it's a lovely pet, but it distracts from what we're trying to do. So if you'll make sure your microphones are muted. And then we're going to reserve the last part of the presentation specifically for questions that you may have about anything going on really with the program, but specifically the culminating experience in the program. So let me see if I can get this to work. All right. Okay. And does everybody see that? Okay.
Yes, I can see.
Okay. Get it playing. And we're in slideshow mode. So again, welcome to Dr. Ge and Dr. Fox. It's good to have you both here, and all of the students. We're excited to have you here. Today's agenda, we're going to be talking about the capstone versus the internship. Now, in the health informatics program, there is this second choice that many of your peers have taken advantage of, which is more of a team-based approach. We'll give you some more detail on that. It is important, and we'll talk about this, all master's degrees require a culminating experience. So whether it's a thesis, whether it's a practicum like the internship, or the project-based class like the problem solving in healthcare analytics. For us, for this particular program, we have the two options, HCIP 6250 and HCIP 6400. We'll share this deck afterwards, and the links will take you to some more information that are on the websites that are available. What are the specific capstone requirements versus the internship, registration requirements for the courses, and then, of course, your questions. Yoran, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about the capstone.
Okay, so the capstone, so we have two options again, the capstone course and the internship. And you can, for health informatics and analytics, you can pick one of them to satisfy the culminating experience. Now, for some students who, may sort of take the capstone as one of the electives, and so in that case, you're going to do both capstone and the internship. All right. So the capstone is more of a class. It's a class that's going to be offered on the campus. So in that regard, you kind of don't have to go out and look for internship. However, that Dr. Fox will probably explain that we actually encourage you to do the internship, because that will help you, that will have many benefits, help you get a job, get connections and all that. So the capstone is a class on campus, and it will be led by a faculty member. So in that regard, it's a regular class. Now in this class, it is a capstone. So we're the professors will not be teaching you specific skills and all that, but will lead you through multiple sort of potential projects, and you will be working in teams, and you will sort of take a semester to complete a project. And that project hopefully will kind of leverage, sort of make use of all the things that you've learned throughout the program. And that is why, in terms of requirements, we want you to do the capstone in the last semester, always as the last thing, having sort of gone through all the other classes in the program. And where do we get the projects? The professors will get the projects from the industry, and typically in the consulting format. So we're basically you as a team and the professor will work together to kind of answer some questions in the industry. And in the process, because the professors will have kind of sort of connections with the industry and the projects will come from industry, potentially the industry folks will help sort of along the way, I guess, and provide feedback and all that. So there may be opportunities for networking with the industry as well. Next slide. I think that's just about the capstone. Okay, so a little bit more in more detail in this slide, the learning outcomes. Depending on the project, some will be very practical and some will sort of be more research oriented. Each professor, the instructor may have sort of different emphasis depending on where we get the projects and where we get the data set. So
I stole this, by the way, Yorong, from Mike Doolin's class.
yeah, each professor may be slightly different. But the idea is the same. We're gonna try to get very practical projects from the industry, and you work in the teams, and then eventually, as a team, address some real problems in healthcare. That's about it from my end.
All right, very good. And we will have some time for questions at the end. But let's talk a little bit about the internship. So HCIP 6400 is the internship course. As Dr. Gay mentioned, that it's great to have this experience, not only because it fulfills your capstone requirement, but it also looks really good on your resume. So finding a partner to work with, this is an organization, usually a healthcare organization, obviously. You're going to gain a lot of benefits. Obviously, what we want you to do is to apply the practical skills that you have developed in your program, and finding out, those opportunities that are out there in the workforce. As Dr. Hertel has mentioned before, finding an internship is really flexing a muscle that you need to use when you're looking for a job, right? So, in a perfect case scenario, you might be able to find an internship opportunity that leads to a full-time position. So this is a great opportunity for you to take advantage and start networking very early. Again, as Dr. Gibb mentioned, it might be best to have this in your last semester, last semester or last year. However, knowing that internship opportunities can kind of crop up earlier, the basic requirement is that you have at least 12 hours of graduate work completed. Again, we recommend more like 18, so it's near the end of your experience. But if you find a good opportunity, we want you to go ahead and submit a proposal. So we'll talk a little bit more about these projects. I think next slide, please. All right, so the timeline for proposal submission is going to be ideally a month before the start of the semester. So if you have hopefully identified an organization that you're willing to work with or is willing to work with you and vice versa for an internship opportunity, and it could be paid or unpaid, right? So we didn't necessarily talk about that as well. But whatever opportunity that you've been able to pin down, there are certain core requirements, and the timeline for getting this all figured out is an important topic. So we'd like you to be able to submit things in advance, because within the healthcare side of things, we have to have, in some cases, a letter of agreement or affiliation agreement signed with that healthcare organization. for internships that involve healthcare or healthcare information. So because of that requirement, we're encouraging all the students to make those proposal submissions earlier if possible. You have to have a mentor or preceptor, same concept. You'll hear these terms used somewhat interchangeably. But that mentor or preceptor would be someone who is your key link to that organization, and having that ability to make a proposal in a timely manner will allow you to get to course registration. All right, so next slide, I believe we'll talk about the types of projects that we can get into. So really, the sky is the limit with regards to what you could be involved in. Obviously, there's so many different facets to the healthcare industry and how information is used in healthcare. But really, what we'd like you to do is look for an opportunity where you're going to be able to use the skills that you've obtained in your HCIP graduate degree in the real world, essentially. So it could be related to almost any aspect of industry, and finding these opportunities hopefully is easier because we're not pinning you down to specific topics. And we hope that you can find something within a field that you're interested in, ideally, right? If there's something that you have a passion towards, the internship can be thought of as an opportunity for you to explore those passions. And there's a reason why you're getting this degree, right? Is to find a project that you think is going to be important or meaningful or interesting. And that's the goal. So it could be a wide range of projects. The overall requirement is that you're using 160 hours of your time to help the organization, and that within the as you get through your, excuse me, my voice doesn't go out on me. If you're, in addition to having a significant investment of time and having some data science skills being used in your internship, we also want you to be able to demonstrate and show that you have, made this linkage between your expertise and the benefits of the organization. So generally speaking, you'll have a proposal, you will begin your internship, you will have a project plan and various progress reports, and at the end, you're going to have to demonstrate that you've been able to use your skills to the benefit of the organization. And I think that's what we talk a little bit on the next slide. After your internship or near the end of the semester, you will get into a situation where you'll have to write a paper for the completion of the class. So would you advance to the next slide, please? Yeah. So once you're at the end of your internship, at the end of the semester, ideally, and I'll talk briefly about the timing and how things don't always line up exactly along the boundaries of a semester. But in a sort of nominal case where you've got, the beginning of the semester, you've got the proposal, you're near the end of your semester, now you've got a situation where you need to submit some final materials for HCIP 6400, and then also we'll send out a letter to your preceptor or mentor talking about, how was this experience with having one of our interns from UNC Charlotte. And also you'll get a chance to say, how was your experience with this particular organization? So we're hearing, both sides of this as well. So on the next slide, I believe we have a good overall picture of what a typical engagement would look like for HCIP 6400. So obviously gaining some expertise, developing your professional skills, building out a network, trying to find that opportunity is your responsibility, right? So it is tougher, but I think also more rewarding to have a great internship. If you can find it, it could be one of the most valuable experiences that you're able to have, where you actually show an organization that you can use your skills to their benefit. So getting that proposal, making that connection, getting the idea pinned down in advance of the semester is ideal. So developing a proposal is something that you would typically do between yourself and your mentor or / preceptor. And that is something that you would iron out, hopefully early on, to say, hey, you know what? We have a general project that we would like you to work on within this organization. We think it could benefit from the use of your skills and so forth. And so having that conversation as early as possible, going through the proposal process, which is a Google form that Dr. Hertel has mentioned and will send out in links on the HIA website. All of that proposal is required ahead of time, and it's not too hard. It's not overbearing. It's just a few form fields. But we want to get a sense for what your project is going to be. Once you've gotten that proposal approved, you are then clear for registration for HCIP 6400. During the actual semester of HCIP 6400, excuse me, you will have a project plan at the very beginning. And then that project plan will be something that you submit progress reports on as you go through the semester and as you progress through your internship. So the class doesn't actually meet in person, but we do get these progress reports and read your progress reports to get a sense for how things are going within your internship. And sometimes things will take a turn, right? Sometimes things won't go always as planned in the original project plan, and that's absolutely fine. So what I tell people in that scenario is that you just simply include, if there's a new direction or new work items that you're working on, to have those updates in the progress reports. And then to always reach out to the faculty supervisor, that's sometimes myself or someone else, if you feel like your internship is not going as planned. That's where you can pull me in or to have a conversation about what's going on with your internship. But hopefully everything goes great and you've got some of the skills that you're able to bring to bear for your internship, and you've got those 160 hours. At the end of the internship, we'll have those final evaluations and reports that we talked about. The final report is always nice to see. Excuse me, my voice doesn't go out. But then also a very short final presentation, which is just a 10-minute presentation. But we will challenge you at the end of that presentation and ask you questions. And so being able to show off your work obviously is an important aspect of that. And that's the key deliverable for the 6400. All right, and I believe we have one more slide, or maybe not. Yeah, and Dr. Hertel, did you want to take it over from here?
Sure. So this gets into, let me answer a question that comes every time right off the bat in terms of where you find your internship. If you are currently working at a healthcare agency doing any kind of clinical work and there's an opportunity for a data project within that organization, you should pursue that first. Our goal is not necessarily to make you quit your job to find another job, unless that's your path, that's where you want to go. But it sometimes takes a little time to cultivate projects, to identify ones that will meet the requirements. So it's a good time to talk to your supervisors or other partners at the in the organization to say, what is a data project that we're currently working on, or one that we could. Maybe it's a proof of concept that I can integrate because I've got to do this project anyway. It's going to help you grow. It's going to help you build a nice portfolio piece and hopefully open up new opportunities within your existing organization for you to grow and take on new responsibilities. So we have this conversation on a regular basis in terms of getting the internship, and right now it's probably a little more challenging than it has been over the last several months. It just is an odd time with the election going on. There's a lot of distraction. The economy seems to be bouncing up and down. There's a lot of companies who seem to be waiting for whatever is going to come next to make some decisions. So we are sympathetic, we are empathetic to your circumstances, for many of you, how challenging it is, particularly for international students. But in terms of finding an internship, it started the day you stepped into your first class at UNC Charlotte in the health informatics program. It's the network that you build from day one. It's the people in your classes. It's your faculty. It's the guest speakers who come to campus on a regular basis to connect and talk about what they do, and you finding what's your preferred pathway. Where things tend to go wrong is where students wait to the last minute or assume that a job is going to come to them. They don't have that proactive plan. They want a job, but they don't know what the job is. And so part of this is you reflecting on, in your classes and your other work, where you want to be. Do you want to be in a true clinical setting? Do you want to be in a hospital or some other provider's space? Do you want to be in one of the contract research organizations? Do you want to be working with one of the pharma companies? Fascinating work, really interesting data sets that they're working with. But you find out these different pathways by participating in the professional seminars, the conferences, meetups, all that. We have the regular Monday seminars and the Wednesday seminars, which are good ways to kind of get in on the conversation. Making sure that you are refining your profile, your LinkedIn profile is active, that your resume is up to date. Remember, it's not quantity, it's quality in a resume. It's not how much you can squeeze on the page. It's about your ability to tell a story of not only what you've done, but all good resumes should be looking forward what you can do and what you want to do. And if you haven't had time to visit the Career Center, this whole week is a focus on analytics and data science, and they've got folks coming in. I know the weather's a little bit funky, but they've got different companies coming in to do resume review, LinkedIn reviews. We had a good presentation on Tuesday for interviewing techniques. All those are useful. We recommend, if you can, cultivate a GitHub site. It's a good way to show portfolio in terms of what projects you've worked on. Same thing for if you are comfortable enough to have a website, but something that shows kind of your active engagement and what you've accomplished and what you can accomplish. Networking, always important. And again, don't ignore the fact that almost half of your peers are working full time and they're working in companies that you may want to be connected with. So talk to them about what's going on in their organizations, where their pain points are, and where the opportunities might lie for you. The portfolio we talked about, we're going to have a couple of hackathons that are going to be probably presented and opportunities for you. We're talking with a couple of companies about a datathon that will be sponsored through the school and with them. We'll also have, there's a national, international competition. Women in Data Science does a fantastic datathon every year. These are great opportunities for you to show and demonstrate your passion, your skill, your creativity. They're great plus factors for your resume. In terms of some of the companies, you're in a great location, and sometimes some of these companies seem to be hiding in plain sight. But they're companies that you want to connect with, follow on LinkedIn, see what they're working on. SAS is a North Carolina company that's based up in RTP. Novant is all over the state. A lot of their work is out of Wake Forest, but there are opportunities for analytics and data science with them. Equivia used to be Quintiles. It's a fascinating research organization. Atrium, some of the usuals. It's not just the hospitals that you should be looking at in terms of opportunities. There are a variety of different companies that are working in the areas, and this is kind of a quick sample of some of those different areas, including the public health centers, community health centers like Gaston County, Mecklenburg County. Always looking for good analysts to work with them, and there may be projects that you can connect in with. Yeah, so actually I thought, did I lose a slide there? No, I guess not. All right. So we come to the question part of this. We've been talking. What questions can we answer for you about the internship or the capstone class? And you can come off mute, or if you like, just put it in the chat. If we've done such an overwhelming job, let us know and we'll let you go.
Maybe while we're waiting for a question, I'll answer one that I typically get around the timelines. So if your internship, if you're looking for an internship opportunity and it doesn't line up to the semester, right? It'd be great if all internships started in September and ended in December, you know, for a fall internship, but that may not be the case, right? So if you find an opportunity that starts in, you know, November and then goes into March, that's absolutely fine. In that scenario, we would like you to submit your proposal in the fall, and then you will continue to go sort of unofficially through HCIP PI 6400 and officially register for that class in the spring. So on the end of your internship is when you would be registered for that particular course. But you can still get approved and share your proposal and submit your project plan earlier on. It just requires a little bit more coordination with the faculty advisor, which is usually me. So just wanted to make that throw that out there because I know that's one of the questions that we typically get.
Is anyone on the call a dual degree student? I don't think so, but I'm just going to ask that because that also has some impact on your options in terms of the capstones and the culminating experience.
I am, but I was told that I do an MPH internship and then an HIAN capstone.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, that's usually the suggestion.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I think this is a record. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. If you have subsequent questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly via email with questions as you're going through the process. We hope to see you at some of the seminars and some of the other events that are coming up. Remember, in the spring, we'll have Women in Data Science on March 13th, and then the Analytics Frontiers will be on April 3rd. Those will be some great events to connect with as well. In the meantime, be safe. We hope you all stay dry and have a great weekend.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.